The chandeliers sparkled overhead like fake stars, and I couldn't stop thinking about how much this party probably cost. Harrison and Associates 15th Anniversary Celebration champagne towers, ice sculptures, a live jazz band. Everyone around me wore their best suits and forced smiles, pretending this wasn't just another corporate obligation. I stood near the bar, nursing my second glass of champagne, watching my colleagues laugh at jokes that weren't funny. 5 years. I'd been here 5 years, grinding through 70-hour weeks, missing birthdays and holidays, sacrificing everything to climb from junior associate to marketing executive. Tonight should have felt like victory, but instead, I just felt empty. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else. I turned to see Jordan, my best friend and the only person in this company I actually trusted. They were holding 2 champagne flutes and wearing that knowing smirk. "That obvious?" I asked, painfully. Jordan handed me a fresh glass. 5 more years of this and we'll both need therapy. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Jordan's expression shifted, concern creeping into their eyes. "Seriously, Alex, you okay? You've been running yourself into the ground lately." "I'm fine, just tired." "You're always tired. Victoria's working you to death." At the mention of her name, my eyes automatically scanned the room until I found her. Victoria Hensley, our CO. She stood in the center of a crowd, radiant in a designer suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her laugh rang out perfectly calibrated, not too loud, not too soft. Everything about Victoria was calculated. "She's not that bad," I said, though even I didn't believe it. Jordan raised an eyebrow. "She uses people, Alex. She finds the ones who work hard and squeezes every drop out of them until there's nothing left. That's how business works." "No, that's how Victoria works. There's a difference." Before I could respond, I felt it, that prickling sensation of being watched. I looked up and met Victoria's eyes across the crowded ballroom. She was looking directly at me, and something in her expression made my stomach drop. She tilted her head slightly, a subtle gesture toward the exit. "What's wrong?" Jordan asked, noticing my sudden tension. "Nothing, I need to use the restroom, Alex." But I was already moving, weaving through clusters of drunk colleagues and executive small talk. My heart pounded for reasons I couldn't explain. Victoria was already walking away from her admirers, heading toward the corridor that led to the private conference rooms. I followed her, my shoes clicking against marble floors, leaving behind the music and laughter. Marcus Chen, our VP of Operations, stood near the hallway entrance like a guard dog. His eyes followed me as I passed. I'd always been intimidated by Marcus. His cold stare, his reputation for ruthlessness. He made people disappear from the company without explanation. Victoria pushed open the door to the executive restroom and stepped inside. She didn't look back to see if I was following. She knew I would. I hesitated for just a moment at the doorway, that last second where I could have turned around and walked away. I wish I had. The door clicked shut behind me, and suddenly the party noise vanished, just silence and the hum of ventilation. Victoria was checking each stall, pushing doors open one by one. My confusion grew with each second. "Victoria, what's—" She held up one finger, silencing me, then locked the main door. The deadbolt sliding into place sounded deafening. "What's wrong?" I asked, my voice shaky. Victoria turned to face me, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked rattled. Her polished exterior had cracks. "We have a problem," she said quietly, "a serious one." "Okay." I waited, my mind racing through possibilities. Budget issues, client complaints, someone has accessed confidential files, financial records that could destroy everything we've built here. My mouth went dry. Who? Sarah Mitchell. The name hit me like cold water. Sarah, brilliant, kind Sarah, who'd left 6 months ago. We'd worked together on a few projects. She was one of the most ethical people I'd ever met. Sarah, but she left. Personal reasons, right? Victoria's jaw tightened. That's what we told everyone. The truth is more complicated. I don't understand. What files? Victoria moved closer, her voice dropping to barely a whisper. Evidence of accounting adjustments we made during the pandemic. Sarah took documents before she left. Now she's threatening to go public. Accounting adjustments. My brain struggled to process. What kind of adjustments? Her eyes hardened. The kind that kept us afloat. The kind that saved jobs, including yours. We did what we had to do to survive, Alex. But if these documents get out, to investors, to the board, to the media, we're finished, everything collapses. I took a step back, hitting the wall. Victoria, what exactly are we talking about here? I need you to listen carefully. She moved in front of me, blocking any escape route. Sarah is being reckless, emotional. She's talking to journalists, making accusations. I need someone I trust to help contain this situation. Contain? How? Talk to her. Make her understand she's making a mistake. Convince her to return the documents and sign an NDA. I'm offering her a generous settlement. My heart hammered in my chest. Why me? Because you're smart, trustworthy, discreet, and because Sarah respected you, she'll listen to you. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong. Sarah wasn't emotional or reckless. If she'd taken documents, there was a reason. Victoria, I don't know if I'm the right person. Her hand gripped my arm tight enough to hurt. This never leaves here. Do you understand what I'm telling you, what I'm asking you to do? It stays between us. I need you, Alex. The company needs you. I stared into her eyes and saw something that terrified me. Desperation, and beneath that, something darker. Words failed me. Part of me wanted to refuse to walk away, but the weight of 5 years, my career, my financial security, it all crashed down at once. Can I think about it? There's no time to think. Sarah could go public any day. I need your answer now. The silence stretched between us. In that moment, I made the worst decision of my life. Okay, I whispered, I'll talk to her. Victoria's face transformed instantly. The mask slid back into place, perfect composure restored. She smiled, and it looked genuine. I knew I could count on you. She squeezed my arm once more, gentler this time. You're doing the right thing, protecting your colleagues, your company, your future. She unlocked the door and stepped out, leaving me alone in the restroom, wondering what I'd just agreed to. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Victoria's face, heard her words. This never leaves here. The next morning, I dragged myself to the office, exhausted and sick with anxiety. The party felt like a fever dream. Jordan found me in the break room, pouring my third coffee. You left early last night, they said, studying my face. What happened? Nothing, just tired, Alex. Really, just work stress, I'm fine, but Jordan knew me too well. They opened their mouth to push harder when my phone buzzed. A message from Victoria's assistant. She needs to see you. I have to go, I muttered, escaping before Jordan could interrogate me further. Back at my desk, I tried to focus on emails, but my mind kept spiraling. What had Victoria meant by accounting adjustments? What had Sarah discovered? Alex Carter. I jumped. Marcus Chen stood in my doorway, expressionless as always. He was holding a manila envelope. From Victoria, he said coldly, "She said you'd know what to do." He placed it on my desk and left without another word. I stared at the envelope like it might explode. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were printed emails, correspondence between Sarah Mitchell and someone named J.K. The subject lines made my stomach turn. Meeting to discuss Harrison and Associates fraud. Evidence of embezzlement. When can we go public? There was also Sarah's home address, her phone number, and a handwritten note on Victoria's personal stationery. Convince her to stop. Use any means necessary. I'm trusting you, Alex. Any means necessary. I shoved the papers back into the envelope, my heart racing. This wasn't damage control. This was intimidation, possibly illegal. Hey, Alex. I slammed the envelope into my drawer. Daniel Park, a junior analyst, stood nervously in my doorway. I barely knew him, quiet kid fresh out of college. Can I ask you something? He said, glancing around like he was afraid of being overheard. What? Did you know Sarah Mitchell? I heard she's trying to expose something about the company. The innocent question felt like an accusation. Where did you hear that? Just rumors, but people are talking. They're saying she stole documents. I don't know anything about it. I lied, hating how easily the words came. You should focus on your work, not gossip. Daniel's face fell. Right, sorry. He left, and I buried my face in my hands. This was spiraling already. How many people knew? How long before this exploded? That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the envelope on my coffee table. I kept reading the emails, trying to understand. Sarah wasn't threatening blackmail. She was talking to a journalist about exposing fraud, which meant Victoria wasn't protecting the company. She was protecting herself. My phone sat beside the envelope. Sarah's number right there. I could call her. I could hear her side of the story. But Victoria's warning echoed in my head. This never leaves here. I called Sarah on my lunch break, hiding in my car in the parking garage. My hands were sweating so badly I almost dropped the phone. It rang 4 times. I almost hung up. Hello. Her voice, I'd forgotten how calm Sarah always sounded. Sarah, it's Alex. Alex Carter. Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. You're calling for Victoria, she said finally. Not a question, a statement. No. I mean yes, but I want to hear your side. I want to understand what's happening. My side. She laughed bitterly. Do you even know what you're involved in, Alex? That's why I'm calling. Victoria said you took documents, that you're threatening to expose the company. Is that what she told you? Sarah's voice hardened. Did she mention why I took those documents? What's actually in them? She said accounting adjustments from the pandemic. Adjustments. The word dripped with disgust. Is that what we're calling theft now? My chest tightened. What are you talking about? Meet me. In person. There are things you need to see. Every logical part of my brain screamed no. But I heard myself saying, where? Rosewood Cafe. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Come alone. She hung up before I could respond. The next day, I called in sick and drove across town. Rosewood Cafe was small, tucked away in a neighborhood I'd never visited. Perfect for a secret meeting. Sarah was already there, sitting in a back corner. She looked different, thinner, dark circles under her eyes. But her gaze was sharp and determined. I slid into the seat across from her. Sarah, they sent you to silence me, she interrupted. But before you try, you should know what you're protecting. She pulled out a laptop and turned it toward me. The screen showed a spreadsheet, columns of numbers, dates, account transfers. What am I looking at? Proof. Victoria has been diverting money from employee pension funds for 3 years, millions of dollars. She falsified investor reports, created shell companies, and funneled money into offshore accounts in her name. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. That's not possible. I discovered it by accident, a discrepancy in the quarterly reports. I dug deeper and found all this. She scrolled through document after document. I reported it to HR, to Marcus, to the board, want to know what happened. I couldn't speak. Elena from HR threatened me, said if I didn't drop it, I'd lose everything. I tried to stay quiet, Alex, I really did, but then my mother got sick, cancer. I needed her pension fund for medical bills. Her voice cracked. That's when I learned Victoria had stolen it. My mother's pension, gone, along with dozens of others. People who worked here for decades, counting on that money for retirement. Victoria stole from them. I felt sick. Why me? Why would Victoria involve me in this? Sarah looked at me with something like pity. Because she's setting you up. You're the fall guy. If this goes public and she needs someone to blame, it'll be you. She's done it before. That's insane. Is it? Think about it, Alex. Why would she trust you with something this sensitive? You're not senior leadership. You're not family. You're expendable. She slid a USB drive across the table. Copies of everything. Do the right thing before it's too late. I stared at the drive, my entire world tilting. What if I can't? I whispered. What if she destroys me? She's going to destroy you anyway, Sarah said softly. The question is whether you let her take you down alone, or if you fight back. I spent the entire night reading through Sarah's files. Every document, every email, every spreadsheet. The evidence was overwhelming. Victoria hadn't just committed fraud. She'd built an entire system of theft and corruption. And I was being pulled into the center of it. The next morning, Victoria's assistant called. She wants to see you now. My stomach dropped. Marcus was already in Victoria's office when I arrived, standing by the window like a sentry. Victoria sat behind her desk, perfectly composed. Well, she asked, did you speak with Sarah? I'd rehearsed this lie a dozen times. I tried. She wouldn't answer. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. That's unfortunate, because Sarah has been spreading lies to a reporter named Jennifer Kane. We need to act quickly. She slid a document across her desk. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was a formal complaint, signed by Elena Rodriguez from HR, accusing Sarah Mitchell of embezzlement and theft of proprietary information. We're filing this today, Victoria said, but we need someone credible to support the claim, someone who worked closely with her. I looked up. You want me to lie? Marcus leaned forward. We want you to be a team player. Sarah is mentally unstable, vengeful. She's trying to destroy this company out of spite. We have evidence. Victoria added smoothly. Documentation showing Sarah accessed funds inappropriately before she left. Her accusations are projection. Classic behavior of a guilty party. It was all fabricated. I knew it. Sarah had shown me the real evidence. Think about your career, Alex, Victoria said, her voice soft and dangerous. Your future, your family. Sometimes we have to make hard choices to protect what matters. The threat was clear. I need time to think. I managed. Victoria's expression hardened. You have 24 hours. Make the right choice. I left her office feeling like I might vomit. That evening, Jordan showed up at my apartment unannounced. They took one look at my face and pushed past me inside. Talk now, Jordan, I can't. Marcus has been asking people about you, about your relationship with Sarah Mitchell. What the hell is happening? I broke. Just completely fell apart. Everything spilled out: the party, the restroom, the envelope, Sarah's documents, Victoria's ultimatum. Jordan listened without interrupting, their expression growing darker with every word. You need to go to the police, they said when I finished. Or a lawyer. Victoria is setting you up, and if you don't act first, she's going to bury you. But what if she destroys my career? What if she follows through on her threats? Alex. Jordan grabbed my shoulders. What if you go to prison for fraud you didn't commit? Because that's where this is heading. I knew they were right. But knowing and acting are different things. I was still paralyzed the next morning when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Meet me, parking garage, level 3, 1 hour, Daniel Park, the junior analyst. I almost didn't go. But something made me. He was waiting next to a concrete pillar, looking terrified and determined in equal measure. Why did you ask me here? I said. Because I know what Victoria asked you to do, and I know you're trying to decide whether to do it. My blood ran cold. How? Sarah trained me, Daniel interrupted. When she was still here, before they pushed her out, she suspected something was wrong and wanted someone on the inside to keep documenting. I've been collecting evidence for months. He pulled out a tablet and showed me files, emails between Victoria and Marcus coordinating the pension fund diversions, payment records to Elena for her silence, even a recording of Victoria threatening a board member. Why are you showing me this? Daniel looked at me seriously. Because Sarah said Victoria would eventually use someone decent as a scapegoat. She thinks it might be you. I don't know what Victoria asked you to do, but whatever it is, don't. She's going down. You don't want to go down with her? How? How is she going down if she has this much power? Because Sarah's been working with Detective Rachel Monroe. She's part of a corporate fraud task force. They've been building a case for months, but they need more inside witnesses, people who can't testify about Victoria's direct involvement. Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in days. What do I need to do? Tell the truth on record. With the evidence we already have plus your testimony about what Victoria asked you to do, we can stop her. What if she retaliates? She has resources, connections. She does. Daniel agreed, but Sarah says you're one of the good ones. Prove her right. He handed me Detective Monroe's card. 24 hours, Alex. That's Victoria's deadline, right? Use it to do the right thing. Victoria's deadline arrived like an execution date. Her assistant summoned me at exactly 3 p.m. Marcus was already there, blocking the door like he expected me to run. I need your answer, Alex, Victoria said coldly. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. But actually sitting there, looking at her, my voice still shook. I can't do it. Silence. Victoria's expression didn't change. I can't lie about Sarah, what you're asking me to do. It's wrong. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Victoria stood slowly. Wrong, she repeated. Let me tell you what's wrong. Sarah Mitchell stole proprietary information, violated her NDA, and is attempting to commit corporate espionage. That's wrong. And now you're refusing to protect your company? It's not my company, I said, finding strength in the truth. It's yours, and you've been stealing from employees, falsifying records, committing fraud. I've seen the documents. Marcus took a step toward me, but Victoria raised her hand. Oh, Alex. Her expression shifted to something almost pitying. I'm disappointed. I thought you were smarter than this. She turned her laptop toward me. On the screen were emails from my work account. Emails approving financial transfers to offshore accounts, signing off on falsified reports, discussing strategies to hide money from auditors. I never wrote these emails. How? My voice failed. Victoria smiled. You'd be surprised what he can do with admin access. These emails have been timestamped and backed up to multiple servers. If this investigation goes forward, these documents show you were complicit from the beginning. She leaned forward. In fact, they suggest it was your idea. My legs nearly gave out. You have a choice, Victoria continued, her voice like ice. Walk away quietly, sign a generous severance agreement with an NDA, and I'll make these emails disappear, or fight me, and I'll bury you. You're lying. Digital forensics would prove. Would they? She tilted her head. Are you willing to bet your freedom on that? Criminal charges for embezzlement and fraud carry significant prison time, Alex. Years of your life. Your reputation destroyed. Your family humiliated. Marcus crossed his arms. Take the deal. 24 hours. Victoria said, think very carefully. I left her office, my hands trembling so badly I could barely open the door. But beneath the fear, something else was growing. Rage. Jordan was waiting in my car, just like we'd planned. How did it go? They asked. Instead of answering, I pulled out my phone. I recorded everything. Jordan's eyes widened. You what? The entire conversation, her admitting to fabricating emails, the threats, everything. Before going into Victoria's office, I'd called Detective Monroe on Daniel's advice. She'd told me to document everything, to get Victoria to incriminate herself on record. It had been terrifying. But it worked. We need to get this to the detective now, Jordan said. We drove directly to the precinct. Detective Monroe was waiting with a prosecutor from the district attorney's office. I handed over everything, my phone with the recording, Sarah's USB drive, Daniel's files, and gave my full statement. Detective Monroe listened to the recording twice, her expression growing grimmer each time. This is exactly what we needed, she said finally. We've been building this case for 8 months, but we needed proof of direct involvement and witness testimony. With your recording, we can move forward with arrests." The prosecutor leaned forward. "Here's what happens next. We'll secure search warrants for Harrison and Associates, Victoria's home, and the homes of Marcus Chen and Elena Rodriguez. Asset freezes will go into effect immediately. We'll execute the warrants tomorrow morning simultaneously to prevent evidence destruction." "What about the fake emails she created?" I asked. The prosecutor smiled. "Digital forensics will easily prove those were fabricated. The metadata will show they were created recently and backdated. It's actually additional evidence of obstruction and fraud." For the first time in weeks, I could breathe, but the fear wasn't gone. Will she come after me, try to retaliate? Detective Monroe was honest. "She might try, but we're issuing a restraining order tonight, and by tomorrow morning, she'll be under arrest. You did the right thing, Alex. You're going to be okay." Jordan squeezed my hand. I wanted to believe her. The next morning, Jordan and I sat in a cafe across from Harrison and Associates, watching through the window. At exactly 8 a.m., 3 black SUV pulled up. Federal agents and police officers poured out, moving with practiced precision. Employees started streaming out of the building, confused and frightened. Agents carried boxes of documents, computers, hard drives. My phone buzzed with messages from colleagues. "What's happening? Are we being shut down? Did you know about this?" I didn't respond. The news broke within an hour. Every major outlet picked it up. CEO Victoria Hensley arrested on fraud charges. $1 million embezzlement scheme exposed. Harrison and Associates under federal investigation. I watched the footage of Victoria being led out in handcuffs. Her perfect composure was gone. She looked small, vulnerable, broken. Part of me felt sympathy, but then I remembered the employees she'd stolen from. Sarah's sick mother. The lies and manipulation and threats. My phone rang. "Sarah, I heard," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you. You didn't have to do what you did. I only finished what you started. You were brave enough to stand up first. What happens now?" I asked. Several law firms are already organizing a class action lawsuit for the defrauded employees. The pension funds will be recovered. People will get restitution. And you, I'm okay. She said softly, "For the first time in months, I'm actually okay." We talked for a while about the future, about justice, about healing. When we hung up, I felt exhausted but lighter. My phone buzzed again. "Daniel, you did it. You actually did it." Kevin Grant, one of the board members, released a statement condemning Victoria's actions and promising complete transparency and reform. The company would survive, he said, but with new leadership and new ethics. Jordan put an arm around my shoulders. "How are you feeling?" I thought about it, scared, relieved, exhausted, but mostly free. 3 months later, the dust had finally settled. Victoria and Marcus were awaiting trial, both facing decades in prison. Elena had taken a plea deal and was testifying against them. The evidence was overwhelming. They didn't stand a chance. Harrison and Associates had been completely restructured. Kevin Grant was interim CEO, and he'd personally asked me to stay. "We need people who have integrity," he'd said. People who proved they'll do the right thing even when it costs them. Many employees had left, unable to trust the organization anymore. I understood. I'd almost left too, but Sarah convinced me to stay. "Places don't become corrupt on their own," she said over coffee one afternoon. "People make them that way, and people can fix them too." She was right. I was now Director of Ethics and Compliance, a newly created position. My job was to ensure what happened never happened again. It was hard work, rebuilding trust, implementing transparent systems, creating safe channels for whistleblowers. Jordan had been promoted to head of financial oversight, working with external auditors. Daniel worked directly with me, his idealism intact but tempered by experience. I'd started therapy to process everything. My therapist said what I experienced was workplace abuse and manipulation. Some days were harder than others. I still had nightmares about Victoria's cold eyes, Marcus blocking the door, those fabricated emails. But I was healing. My father called every week, proud but worried. "You did the right thing," he always said. "That's what matters." Jennifer Kane, the journalist, published a major exposé about corporate fraud, using our case as the centerpiece. The story went national. I did several anonymous interviews. Sarah became a public advocate for whistleblower protection. Last week, I received a letter from Victoria's lawyer, a final attempt to intimidate me into changing my testimony. I handed it directly to Detective Monroe. Victoria's power was gone. It had always been an illusion built on fear. I was at my desk when Sarah stopped by. We'd become genuine friends through this ordeal, bonded by shared trauma and justice. "How does it feel," she asked, "being on the other side of it all?" I looked around the office, the same walls, the same view, but everything felt different. "It feels like I can finally breathe." She smiled. "Good, because this is just the beginning." She was right. The work of rebuilding trust, of creating ethical systems, of proving that doing the right thing matters, it was ongoing. But for the first time in my career, I wasn't afraid. That night in the restroom, Victoria had whispered, "This never leaves here." She was wrong. The truth always finds a way out. And sometimes, it takes just one person refusing to stay silent to bring down an entire empire built on lies. I was that person, and I'd do it again.